This video is sponsored by GPU Audio. Stick around to the end to get your hands on a free supercharged GPU Audio plugin suite. It seems to me, listening to Hugo, the album, is this an angrier Loyle Carner that you're bringing to the world, or are you just allowing yourself to explore things further?
I think just allowing myself to be a 360, right? Because I think before I was so conscious of putting my best foot forward or trying to come across, calm and considered at all times. And it's not human, so it's not necessarily that this is like, hey, this is my darker side and, watch me go, but like, it's definitely like whenever there's been moments in the studio or at times in the process, 3 years is a long time, where I've been going through bad patches, which is, normal, but definitely there was maybe more bad patches than good ones at points, leaning into that as opposed to going, I can't create now, because I have, an image to upkeep and I have a responsibility to inspire the next generation who listen to me to feel like, I kind of was able, I think it was linked with the birth of my son and all of that, I kind of finally felt like I had to completely be honest and be a true reflection of myself, like unashamedly, and not be afraid of what people would think and the judgment I might get, because I needed my son to grow up and know that it was okay to be, for there to be beauty in the ugliness, for it to be okay to be, not perfect, you get me? So that was where I think this and quite a few of the other songs came from, was just a leaning into the humanity of the situation and not trying to make it perfect.
Yeah. Well, it really packs an impact, and I think will provide food for thought for a long time.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's going to have quite an effect on people. I think so many people will hear these songs and think, oh, that kind of rings true, or that links into something that I've experienced, or that my friend, or and that will cause quite a lot of discussion. But with banging tunes, as it were.
Yeah, right.
The music sounds amazing. So you say that the music also evolved. I mean, while Ben was working away, honing the exact words he wanted to deliver, were you working on the music at the same time?
Well, I think it was always quite an open conversation, and I think as the lyrics were getting they're evolving and getting refined, the music had to sort of reflect that as accurately as possible. And I think it was, stuff that didn't quite fit maybe with what you were saying, I think, again, part of the evolution as well was, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were like, no, you were heavily involved in the sort of direction of the music, in like, well, this needs to match the feeling of hate and anger, and it's maybe it's a bit too nice. And then we'd obviously have the time, obviously because of lockdown at the time, we could explore that, and that's when you'd invite people down and we'd try out various other versions. We'd slow it down, we'd speed it up, and then I think obviously you do get to a point sometimes and you're like, well, there's now 9 different versions and you get a bit of a spin, but ultimately it gets it to the best place. So I think it was like, a long process with the music sort of evolving, and I think after a little while sitting with it, you were like, these need to feel a bit more aggressive. And I think that's when we got Richard Spaven down, and we replaced the drums and slowed it down and made it a bit more.
True. That's even before we'd even linked up with Kwes. This had already gone through one.
Yeah.
I forgot that, because I thought it definitely went through loads, but I thought we'd had it. No, you're right. That's crazy. Because do you know what, actually? So we had the initial idea, this one, the stream of consciousness. And then, I played it to, I think, Mike Haranoff, who's A&R at Transgressive, but a good friend of ours too, but he was heavily involved in the process, bouncing back and forth. And he was like, this is wicked. There's something in this. So I played it to Spaven and he played drums over it. And while he was jamming over it, then I started writing again. And then that was when I was like, no, there is something lyrically, there's something in here. So that was already the first process of refinement back and forth.
Yeah.
And actually began the process of me writing while Spaven was playing, because I found a real affinity with him, that while he was feeling things out on the drums, as he was, adding little ghost notes, and it was never the same, like a J Dilla beat, how it's always moving, it's not quantized. It allowed me to find little pockets of magic in between little.
Are we up to hear any of those?
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, that's session. I completely forgot about that. That's wicked.
As promised, I'm here to tell you more about our friends over at GPU Audio, who are teaming up with the likes of AMD, Nvidia, and Apple to unlock your graphics card's full potential and give you lightning-fast audio with real-time results. They are working hard behind the scenes to bring GPU processing to third-party developers too. So look out for an SDK, a software development kit, before the end of the year. Follow the link in the description to download their free modulation plugin bundle, featuring a chorus, phaser, and flanger. or go to gpu.audio/tape notes. Thanks to GPU Audio for supporting the show.
Oh yeah. So much slower as well, isn't it?
Slower, yeah. I think it was about 10 BPM slower.
Because then we sped him up.
What did we land on? I can't remember. It was like
101.
It
was 101 BPM.
No,
104.
Probably 101.253. 104.
Let me tell you what I hate. I hate the pressure on my plate. I hate the feel of being late. Straight. I hate the feeling I should wait.
So which version are we at now then?
Two?
This is probably the second. I mean, tempted to say there was like one before this, but yeah, this is I say version 2 because of the biggest difference. We slowed it right down. Yeah, got Spaven on it, and it was this for a while before we were like, no, we need to do some more to it, and we got. We got people down and there was brass on it, and then that didn't feel quite right, and there was
Morgan as well. Morgan played on it. Yeah. Blue sped it up. Blue told me he sped it up.
And it went like,
it's got to be faster.
A lot of emotions, but
could we hear some of those, or just hear this process of evolution?
Choosing the sessions at random. Here we go. Let me see.
So it's interesting though how you had to try out so many different variants and also get so many people involved to bring different things, and then because it's difficult then to say, oh well, we did get him down but that didn't work.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was the first time, I was saying to Tomo on the way down here that like if we'd have done this for my first album or my second album, there would have been not really much process. Like the process was, I wrote it, I came in, or we wrote it in the room, we laced it, there was never really much like back and forth for refinement. So it was really new, I think, to me particularly. I know that both of these guys had done stuff like this before. But yeah, it was so alien to me to have an idea and for it not to just be finished. Which was exciting, but exhausting, because you're like, I'm used to being able to move on, but we'd keep coming back to these ideas. And I think a few people outside of us three, because we were in when we moved from Hackney Road to the Livingston to really finish it, we had them all up on a whiteboard and we would decide and, make cases for the tunes that should be and which ones should die. And a few times we cut this off because I was like, for about 2 weeks, I was like, this song is rubbish, man. There's no point releasing this song. It's not right. And so we just scrapped it. And then we came back to it because there was a piece missing of the album. And then we scrapped it again. And then we came back to it again. We just couldn't get it right, but we knew that we had to. And then I remember when we actually did get it right, it kind of unleashed all of this creative energy to finish everything else because this was really holding us back. Right. Because it was such an obstacle, I guess.
Like pulling the cork out.
Yeah, get me. Yeah, exactly.